nut. What's the occasion?
I got a beautiful wife who needs an occasion. I wouldn't mind a kiss, though.
Thank you.
How did a guy like me wind up with a girl like you?
I played my cards right. You've been to the office already?
Yeah, there wasn't much doing.
It's a new business. It takes time.
Tell me. I'm meeting a friend for breakfast. What are you doing today?
I've got clients coming to Eastport for a lunch meeting.
What is it this time? Lawyers trying to improve their image?
Bankers. And without them, we couldn't write off our house in the country.
Well, I hope they're going to be gone by the time I get there.
They'll be gone. Long gone. It'll just be me, ready to take advantage of you. Oh, no.
Oh, let me stay here.
I'll get that. Oh. Yeah, just a second. Oh. Hello?
Mr. Domenico.
Yes?
Yeah, this is Felix at Brandon Electronics. The rest of your equipment came in.
Great. I'll be there around 10 o'clock. Thank you. Alice wants to have some coffee. I think the marriage is on the rocks.
I'll see you tonight.
I'll be waiting.
Dow Jones, we could look forward to an upturn in the general economy within the next...
Possibly.
What'd the doctor say?
The operation was a complete success.
Terrific. When do you get out?
In a day or two, if he doesn't want to put it in the cast.
Uh-oh.
Exactly. Is that new dress?
Tony Domenico is coming for breakfast. He's coming here.
So I finally get to meet him.
You know, when I used to babysit Tony and my brother, they drove me crazy. One time they even locked me in the closet.
Stella.
Tony, dear.
You haven't changed in all these years.
Oh, you look wonderful.
And you have to be Perry Mason.
Most of the time, it's a pleasure.
Pleasure. Skiing?
Yes, of course.
Gee, it's too bad Suzanne couldn't make it. You two would love each other.
Suzanne.
My wife.
You remarried.
Yeah, about 2 years ago, and I gotta tell you, she's something special.
Helen, would you go to the kitchen and see if you can find my keys?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Hi, it's me. Yes, it's all set. I don't think that's a good idea. Don't come back afterwards. I'll see you on Monday. You just have to trust me. Don't threaten me. It's my way or no way at all.
Your keys weren't in the kitchen.
That's all right. I found them. Thank you.
She's lovely.
Congratulations.
Thanks. You know something, I can hardly believe it. When Carrie died, well, you were at our wedding. You know how I felt about her. We were 19. It was going to be forever. I never thought I'd find anybody else. Here I have.
These are omnidirectional bugs.
How sensitive are they?
They'll pick up any sound in a room. How'd you like to pay for these?
Cash.
Will you be out of here by Sunday?
Oh, you can count on it.
Look, it's an easy trip to Eastport. Why don't the two of you come out for brunch? You could meet Suzanne.
Oh, wouldn't it be too much bother for her?
Are you kidding? She loves to cook.
Perry, what do you think?
Sounds wonderful. Thank you.
Great. I can't wait for you to meet her. You know, she would have been here this morning, but she works too.
What does she do?
She's in public relations.
Hello, Harry. Didn't know you went out before dark.
You got a smart mouth, Suzanne.
Sam, hi. I thought you were through with him. Harry's always been good to me. Sort of. You know, all Harry wants is to keep you turning enough tricks to keep him in cheap jewelry.
He did mention it. But I told him no. We can be friends, but I'm getting out of the life.
Good. Want to earn some extra money?
Doing what?
Serving lunch.
Pretty deluxe to me. Are we entertaining royalty?
Don't sneak up on people like that, Miranda. It's a bad habit.
Sorry. Can I guess who's coming to lunch?
Curiosity killed the cat, my dear, and others too numerous to mention.
And what does that mean?
Your fee for today includes your discretion.
So I was right. This one's first class all the way.
Including security. Let me see your bag.
What are you so uptight about? Just a little business lunch, isn't it?
That's right.
See? No drugs, nothing. I told you I've given all that up. It's the new me.
Well, let's hope so. I told you it's the best way to go. It's Hammond's with the food. Say, listen, do me a favor. While I finish up with things here, would you make sure that that crazy kid doesn't wreck anything?
I'll do my best.
Thank you.
Hey there.
Hi.
Anybody ever tell you you'd make a great centerfold?
More times than I can count, so why don't you just unload the order? We're in kind of a hurry.
You know something? I work a lot faster when beautiful girls tell me their names.
Can I guess who's coming to lunch? Curiosity killed the cat, my dear, and others too numerous to mention. Stephen, Edward, Richard Leonard, this is Miranda Bonner.
Well, very nice to meet you.
How do you do? My pleasure.
Same here.
Well, now that all the amenities are out of the way, I'll bet you all want to get down to business, so we'll be in the kitchen if you need anything.
Thank you. I'm sure we'll be all right until lunch is served.
I'm not sure I like this. It was supposed to only be the four of us.
Oh, relax, Richard. Suzanne's place is perfectly safe. That's why we chose it.
If anybody should find out that we were all here...
Nobody will. And even if they do, it's a perfect cover. Financial planning and public relations. Just relax, O'Brien.
It looks like I have no choice.
If you want to back out, Rich, go right ahead. Just means more money for the rest of us.
Steve, there's kind of cute, don't you think?
Be careful. You weren't watching the knife.
You said they were bankers.
That means mega bucks, right?
I don't have the slightest idea.
Sure. And you don't know how babies are made either. A girl could sure retire on that kind of money. If she knew exactly who it belonged to.
I told you, don't go for retirement, go for love. It's the best move I ever made.
I'm with you. But why can't I have both? Come on, just give me a little hint on who they are.
I'm warning you, Miranda, stop it. I hired you because I thought I could trust you.
You can, you know that.
Well, then why are you asking so many questions? If you're smart, you'll forget today ever happened.
As I was saying, if I'm going to stick my neck out, I want some guarantees that nobody's going to shoot my head off.
The guarantee is very simple. We're all in this together. If one of us goes down, we all do.
The risks are big, but so is the potential profit. What do you say, Richard?
Well, are you with us?
Yes, I guess so.
Good. Here's the Swiss bank accounts all around.
Richard. If you won't take a cognac, how about a cigar? Genuine Havana. My doctor forbids them to me, but there's no reason why my friends shouldn't enjoy them.
Thanks, don't mind if I do.
No, thanks.
No. My wife says they make me smell like a pool hall.
Have another one. Take it home with you.
Oh, you're
Light it later.
Dessert, anyone?
Oh, look at this. Can I have two?
Oh, of course you can have a tray.
Well.
Well, that's that. So much for the happy homemaker.
Yes, and thank you very much. Everything turned out just fine.
Not exactly in my line, but hey, a girl could get used to it.
Yeah, you might even get to enjoy it. Why don't you get changed and I'll write you out a check?
Oh, it's the best proposition I've had all day.
Certainly hope so.
Hello?
No, you listen. There's going to be a little change in our agreement. The price is going up. I know what kind of money is involved here. That's right, or no deal. I'm not going to argue with you. Take it or leave it.
Thanks again. It's my pleasure. This is more than we agreed on.
Yeah, well, let's just say that that's for your retirement fund. I mean it.
Thanks. Hope you call me again. Anytime.
Miranda, wait. Would you do me a great big favor?
How big?
Well, I forgot to take these to the post office on my way out of town, and if I mail them from here, it'll take forever.
No, I can drop them off. Post office is on my way.
Your doll.
Right. Barbie in the flesh. See you soon. Tony?
Who's out there? Tony!
Suzanne! Suzanne? Help me with the groceries, hon. I found that wine you like, the Chardonnay, so I stocked up. Suzanne! Come on, open up. I'm starving. What are you doing? I'm home. Sweetheart? Suzanne, you still soaking in the tub, you lazy brood. What are you doing? Where are you? Suzanne? Baby. Oh, my God.
You discovered the body, then you notified us.
Yes.
Right away?
I don't know.
How long did you wait?
I don't know. 5, 10 minutes.
What were you doing during that time, Mr. Domenico?
Hey, I just found my wife's body.
I know this isn't easy for you, but I have to ask these questions.
Sorry.
You identified the gun found near the body, is that right?
Yes, it's mine.
You said you usually kept it at home, but you don't know how it got here.
No.
Sergeant, take a look at this.
Excuse me. What have you got?
Found these in the back seat of his car.
In his car. We found these in your car, Mr. Domenico.
In my car?
Mm-hmm. The hair's a little different, and she looks younger in these pictures, but that appears to be your wife, the notorious Midnight Madam.
It's not Suzanne.
You carry these in your car. You must be very proud of her.
It's a lie!
You're under arrest for murder, Mr. Domenico.
I do.
Tony, we're so sorry.
Thanks. How's the knee?
Dreadful.
I thought you weren't getting out of the hospital for a couple of days.
He let me out early.
Thank you. Both of you. I want you to know I appreciate you for taking the case.
I haven't yet. There are a few questions I have to ask you.
Sure, go ahead.
The police report states your motive for murder is evidence that your wife had been arrested in several cities in the past, both for prostitution and for running a house of prostitution.
I don't care what they say. I don't believe it.
I know how you must feel, Tony. But these police reports...
But it's not true. Don't you think I know my own wife? Suzanne would never do anything like that. Never!
Tony, we're only trying to help you.
I know. I'm sorry. I can't believe she's dead.
Well, he certainly isn't making things easier.
You'd rather not defend him. I understand. I'm sure Tony can afford a competent attorney.
Della, I want to tell
Perry,
you...
I just know he didn't kill his wife.
You better call Paul Drake. Tell him to kiss the first flight. What are you smiling about?
Della said it was important.
Why, yes. Check these out, will you, please?
You wanted me, mate?
Uh-huh. Did any of your men come through here?
Not my men. They're confined to the front and terrace doors only.
What about these muddy footprints?
Well, frankly, I didn't even know they were here.
They don't appear to be completely dry. They could have been made by someone last night.
We'll look into it.
Thank you.
Well, we're through here. We're turning the house over to you.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Definitely not your average stereo system.
Is that right?
Looks like surveillance equipment. Very sophisticated, too. Look at that. State-of-the-art, voice-activated. Barry, I bet with the right microphones, you could probably pick up an ant anywhere in the house.
The right microphones. Like these?
Yeah, exactly like those.
What did Tony or Suzanne want with state-of-the-art surveillance equipment?
Why would they bug their own house? Perry, this is brand new equipment right out of the box.
I don't suppose there was a tape in the machine.
Well, I couldn't find one here.
Too bad. Might have answered a lot of questions. Yes, Tony.
There are some things in the kitchen I'd like to show you. Now, this is the receipt from Hammond's Gourmet Provisions. And the day she was murdered, Suzanne placed a very elaborate order. Cognac, champagne, 6 Cornish game hens.
That sounds delicious.
Well, she did tell Tony she was planning a business lunch.
I know, but there's one odd thing. Here we have crystal, silver, and fine china for 4. And 2 everyday plates.
What does that mean?
That she had 4 very special guests. And there was somebody else other than Suzanne. And 2 of them probably ate in the kitchen.
Wait a minute. Who's the detective here?
I also found this under the table in the terrace. And I swear Tony never smoked a cigar that I know of.
So it must have been one of the guests. Good work, Sherlock.
Well, it does make for sort of a mystery, doesn't it?
It certainly bears further meticulous, thoughtful, and very careful investigation. Right, Paul?
Right. I vote we check out Hammond's Gourmet Provisions.
You have something specific in mind?
Yeah, lunch. I'm starved.
Tony and Suzanne were one of the happiest couples I've ever seen.
You knew them pretty well.
Since they bought their house a couple of years ago, they would order something or come in just about every weekend they were up here. That's Frank Sims, the man you'll want to speak to.
Hey, Frank, how many times do I have to tell you to be more careful? If my insurance rates go up, you're out of a job.
Sorry, Miss Ma'am.
Sorry won't cut it. Just slow down. Oh, look at that. I just had this van painted. Don't look at it. Sit down. He's all yours, Mr. Mason. Please don't keep him from his work too long. I don't want him rushing to catch up.
Thank you, Mr. Hammond. Mr. Hammond told us you made a delivery to Suzanne Domenico's house the morning of the day she was murdered.
Yeah. Sure was weird her getting killed like that, huh?
Did you see any cars at the Domenico house when you made your delivery?
No, not then.
You went to the house more than once?
No, but I had a lot of orders in that neighborhood. I passed by the Domenicos a few times, I guess.
And you saw other cars there?
Yeah, maybe 4 or 5. A couple looked expensive.
How long were they there?
You got me. All I know is they were gone by the time I made my last run by the place.
What time was that?
6, maybe 6:30.
When you were at the house, did you see someone besides Mrs. Domenico?
Yeah, another lady.
Who?
I don't know. She was beautiful, though. Really hot. I tried to get a phone number, but I struck out.
Did you get her name?
Miranda. But that's all she told me. Look, give me a break, will you? I gotta get back to work.
Yeah, we might want to talk to you later, so...
Sure. Whatever you say.
Well, call and ask Della if there's a Miranda in Suzanne Domenico's address book.
You see this garbage? It's in all the papers.
You just have to ignore it, Tony.
How can I? You know what the guys who work for me are thinking right now, and my friends?
I know how painful all this is for you, but you're going to have to concentrate on the Suzanne you knew. Now, Tony, can you do that?
I don't know. I'll try.
And no matter what is said, no more outbursts.
You mean I got myself a lawyer?
Yep. Now, what can you tell us about the business meeting your wife had that day?
She said she was having some bankers out to the house in Eastport. That's all I know.
How many bankers?
She didn't say. And she didn't say what they were meeting about.
Tony, why did you install sophisticated recording equipment in your house?
Recording equipment? I got a stereo, but that's it.
We found some bugging devices.
Bugging devices? What's going on?
Tony, your wife's murder may have something to do with her past. If you can remember anything which might give us a clue. Anything.
I don't have a clue. From the day we met, the past never existed.
Hi.
Hi. I'm looking for a Miranda Bonner.
Well, great. Come on in.
Thank you.
Well, you can make yourself comfortable. Turn on stereo if you like.
Well, wouldn't you like to know who I am? Hello? Don't you want to know who I am?
Well, okay. Who are you?
I'm Paul Drake.
Well, good for you.
Can I ask you a few questions?
Honey, when Miranda gets here, she'll explain everything.
Were you her roommate?
No, I'm just borrowing her blender. She didn't tell me she had a date.
Could you tell me your name, please?
Candy. But I'm not a working girl anymore. But if you ever want your hair cut like Billy Idol, you come on down to see me. I work at the New Wave downtown.
white sealskin bag. Call me.
This is Ed, Miranda. It was lovely meeting you in Eastport yesterday, and I'd like to see you again. Give me a call when you get a chance. 555-7638. Thanks.
What the hell do you think you're doing? Who are
Wait a
you?
minute. I can explain everything.
Starting now.
My name is Paul Drake. I work for a lawyer by the name of Perry Mason. And right now I'm investigating the murder of Suzanne Domenico.
What do you want from me?
I'd just like the answers to a few questions, if you don't mind.
How do I know you're who you say you are?
Because I have on my person, right here, this. Now, the picture doesn't do me justice, but I am a licensed private investigator. Wait!
Son of a...
Hold on!
Domenico is a man of dangerous and violent temper. His last outburst resulted in the tragic death of his wife. At the time of his arrest, Officer Kozlow was the target of his rage, which nearly resulted in a fractured jaw for that officer. His violent temper is legendary among his employees. Mr. Domenico is here charged with a capital crime, and he is a danger to us all. The state, therefore, respectfully urges this court to protect the community by denying this defendant bail.
Mr. Mason?
Your Honor, Mr. Domenico had just discovered his wife had been murdered. It's understandable that he might lose control under those circumstances. My client has no history of violent crime. He greatly regrets his unfortunate reaction toward this officer and has personally apologized to him. He is deeply rooted to the business and society of this community and is not a danger to it. I strongly urge the court grant him reasonable bail.
All right, Mr. Mason, I'm going to take your word for it. But this court will be quick to react to any breach of conduct. Bail is set at $200,000. We will recess for 2 hours.
Tony, let's take care of the bail, and then I'll give you a lift home.
Thanks. I could use a lift.
Are you coming?
I'm waiting for Paul.
Speak of the devil. Good morning, Paul.
Have somebody fix it.
Sir, yes, right. Pick him up.
You look awful.
Thank you.
What happened?
You don't want to know?
Try me.
No.
Try me.
I got maced, and I lost the girl.
Can you find her?
I got to. She took my wallet.
She what?
Read my lips. She took my wallet.
You're right. I don't want to know.
Spent half the night last night in the emergency room having my eyes washed out. 2 hours this morning going through my credit cards, canceling them.
Before you lost your wallet, what did you find out?
Well, Miranda Bonner is her full name. She is a high-class call girl, and indeed somebody did call her. A gentleman by the name of Ed left this phone number on her answering machine. Said that he met her in Eastport.
I'll take care of this. You keep looking for your Miranda Bonner.
Don't worry.
Hi, Kathy. Edie. My wife's out of town.
Mr. Tremaine?
Yes?
I'd like to talk to you about Suzanne Domenico.
was just a business meeting, Mr. Mason. Nothing more. Our bank employed Mrs. Domenico's public relations company. Sometimes that meant she provided pleasant surroundings for important business discussions.
What was discussed that particular morning?
Oh, it was very boring, really. Two of the other bank vice presidents and I were doing some long-term financial planning.
Their names?
Well, I suppose they'll have to come forward.
I'm afraid they will.
Leonard Weeks and Stephen Randall.
The fourth man, who was he?
I'm afraid you're mistaken. There was no fourth man.
You're sure?
I'm quite sure.
Who arranged the meeting?
All I know is that Mrs. Domenico gave me a call and asked me to come around to her house that morning. One of the other two must have arranged the meeting.
What time did you get home the night Mrs. Domenico was murdered?
I don't know. Sometime before 9.
Of course, your wife can corroborate that.
Well, she's out of town at the moment. Why?
You can't substantiate your whereabouts at the time of the murder, can you?
I don't have to, Mr. Mason. And I don't have to sit here and talk to you.
You smoke cigars?
No, I could never stand them.
That's very interesting. I could never stand them either.
Hi. Remember me?
Well, just like it was yesterday.
It was yesterday.
That's what I thought. Boy, you could use some styling.
Listen, Miranda didn't come back to the apartment last night. It's very important that I see her.
Honey, I'm real busy right now.
Please.
Honey, Miranda has a lot of friends, if you know what I mean, but never should stay with unless...
What?
Well, there is one old business partner. I don't know, and then she's gone back to Harry. Well, that's Harry Long.
Where does Harry Long live?
I don't know. Look, why don't you try down the Borderline Club downtown? I think he owns a piece of it.
Thanks.
I'd like to speak with Leonard Weeks. My name is Mason.
Harry Mason?
Yes?
Mr. Weeks is expecting you.
Edward Tremaine said that you might be paying us a visit. I can't tell you how distressed we all were to hear the bad news about Mrs. Domenico.
Had you known her long?
No, only since last year when our bank became a client of her public relations firm. But her death was a shock, nonetheless.
Along with Edward Tremaine, you both met with Mrs. Domenico at her home the morning she was killed.
Yes. To discuss long-range financial planning for the bank.
Yes, I heard. It was just the four of you there, along with Mrs. Domenico.
No.
No, just the three of us, yes.
Three. Yeah, a trio. Everyone can remember a trio.
Mr. Mason, please believe us. We want to cooperate with you any way we can. We are not anxious for the publicity about this case to continue.
In other words, you'd like to see Tony Domenico convicted as soon as possible.
If he's guilty, why not?
I understand there's about to be a major change here at the bank. Your CEO is retiring shortly.
Well, hasn't been officially announced yet, but yes. Why is this of interest to you?
Who's going to replace him? Well, you're a senior vice president, aren't you, Mr. Weeks?
Yes, but so is Mr. Ramos here.
And Mr. Tremaine is vice president of our foreign operations. What are you getting at, Mason?
I was just given these. They're beautiful Havanas. Have one.
No, thank you.
My doctor doesn't permit it.
Good doctor.
You said there was nothing to worry about, Leonard.
Suzanne? Suzanne's murder is an unfortunate turn of events. I will grant you that, but it's not going to stop us.
We had nothing to do with it. The husband will fry, it'll be over.
Except that his lawyer is Perry Mason and is going to ask a lot of questions.
So what if he does? We can handle Mason. Your name will never be mentioned.
And we go on with business, just as we planned.
What about the other girl who was there? She saw me.
She hasn't come forward yet. Chances are she won't. And if she does, we'll deal with it.
We will get on with business as planned.
Well, I don't know. I'll have to think about it.
Richard.
I said I'll have to think about it.
Hey, where you going?
I gotta go talk to somebody. I'll be back real quick.
All right, now. Don't even plan on staying in here.
That's not enough. I don't want to bore you with a long story, but my wallet got ripped off today on the way here. So can't you just think about that as a deposit, and I'll kind of take care of you later? And I'll come back. Miranda? Wait a minute. Miranda? I have to talk to you! Look out!
You saved my life and then you almost killed me. What are you doing here?
Looking for my wallet. Do me a favor, just stay here.
I still don't see what any of this has to do with me, Mr. Mason. Yes, thank you.
Then you were not at Mrs. Domenico's home the day she was murdered.
I told you I never heard of the woman, except in the newspapers.
What about yesterday afternoon at the zoo?
What about it?
You met with Leonard Weeks and Steve Reynolds.
Yes, I was at the zoo. I like to feed the birds, the animals, and I happened to run into Mr. Weeks and Mr. Reynolds, and they said a couple of nice things about my work, but that's all.
Mr. Wilson, according to your secretary, your very own secretary, you were out of your office in the field the day Mrs. Domenico was killed.
Well, let's see. You said that was a Friday? Yes, I was inspecting the new software interfacing at several of our banks.
I checked with the bank managers where you had appointments. None of them remember seeing you.
Mr. Mason, you have a phone call line 1, and Mr. Wilson, you're needed in processing right away.
I have some work to do.
Wait, I have something for you. Pure Havanas. I'm sure you'll enjoy them. Hello.
Oh, Perry?
Hello. Mr. Richard Wilson just left me. I'm willing to bet he was the fourth man at that meeting.
Who were the other three?
Oh, hello, Tony. Leonard Weeks, Edward Tremaine, and Steve Reynolds. They're all officers of the Crestmoor Bank. You know any of them?
I may have heard Suzanne mention their names, but I never met any of them. Maybe I should have. Maybe when she was entertaining clients, it was more than public relations.
Perry, I picked up a lead, maybe. 15 years ago, Suzanne ran a very private and high-class establishment in Chicago, which was frequented by some very important people. That's all I have so far.
Well, it's the beginning. Remember our friend Bresloff in Chicago?
Yes.
Call him. If he can help us find the connection between those 4 men, maybe we'll find out which one killed her.
I'll get right on it. See you when you get back.
Thanks for the warning.
You're going to have to wait outside till we open.
Oh, sure. By the way, do you happen to know of a girl named Miranda Bonner?
Who's Miranda Bonner?
She's a girl I'm looking for.
I don't know her. You know her?
She used to work for a guy named Harry Long.
I hadn't heard.
You know Harry Long?
Yeah.
I understand he's part owner of this establishment.
Is that right?
I mean, I've never seen the guy myself. What does he look like?
Well, he looks just like that.
Harry Long? Harry Long.
Wants to know.
Paul Drake.
So?
I'm looking for a girl named Miranda Bonner. I believe she used to have a business arrangement with you.
Never heard of her.
Give a guy a break. I want to talk to the girl.
You know, I'm getting real tired of looking at you.
Every word there, brother. He almost got on his bad side.
Hey, what happened? Kids, probably, who saw all the publicity. As far as we can tell, nothing was taken.
Odd. I think they might have wanted souvenirs.
Well, you have another theory.
Maybe someone didn't find what they were looking for.
Hey, what the hell? Could you get somebody to turn these off, Sergeant?
Wait a minute. Stop the car. Back up just over there.
Your Honor, I am sure that the court recognizes that Mr. Mason has just been discharged from the hospital following rather serious knee surgery. I would have no objection to my assistant helping Mr. Mason present any evidence he may have, assuming, of course, that he has any evidence to present.
The defense thanks Mr. Reston. He's probably right about the amount of evidence. But we did bring an assistant, Mr. Spar, who's appeared before Your Honor many times. We will ask him to present any exhibits we may have.
Very well. Welcome, Mr. Spar. Mr. Reston, call your witness.
Call Sergeant Coslow to the stand, please. Sergeant Coslow, I show you this weapon and ask you if you recognize it?
Yes, I do. That weapon was found approximately 1 foot from the deceased body.
This court has heard testimony by a ballistics expert from your department that this was, in fact, the weapon of death. Do you know to whom this weapon is registered?
Yes, Tony Domenico.
Huh? Did you have a discussion with the defendant about it?
I did.
Did he tell you that it had been lost or was stolen?
No, he stated that normally he kept it at home and he had no idea how it got to the scene.
Sergeant Coslow, I show you People's Exhibit 7. Can you identify it?
Yes, this envelope and its contents were found in the defendant's car parked at the scene.
And what were the contents?
Photocopies of newspaper articles on Suzanne Domenico.
Can you summarize what the articles say?
Objection. Whatever those articles say is irrelevant to the issues.
Your Honor, these articles and the defendant's awareness of them bear directly on his motives and his subsequent conduct. Relevant issues indeed.
Overruled. You may answer, Sergeant.
The articles talk about Mrs. Domenico's prior arrest and convictions for prostitution and pandering.
Did you attempt to discuss the articles with the defendant?
Yes, I did.
And what was his reaction?
The defendant blew up.
Excuse me, by blew up, do you mean that he violently lost his temper?
Yes, I do. He assaulted me and had to be restrained.
Thank you, Sergeant. Nothing further.
Sergeant, at my request, your investigators photographed and made casts of muddy footprints found on Suzanne Domenico's carpet in a rear downstairs bedroom, did they not?
Yes.
Those footprints were not identifiable, were they?
No.
But it was obvious, was it not, that those footprints led from the backyard into that downstairs bedroom?
Yes, that was apparent.
Sergeant Coslow, you and I were at the Domenico house yesterday, were we not?
Yes, we were.
And you observed that the backyard sprinkler system is automatically controlled, is that not right?
Yes.
At what time did it go on?
At approximately 6:15 p.m.
And there was no mud on Mrs. Domenico's shoes?
No.
Then the likeliest possibility is that the mud was tracked in by a third, yet unknown person, sometime after 6:15 p.m. on the evening of the murder.
It is possible, Mr. Mason.
Thank you, Sergeant. No further questions.
You may step down.
Your Honor, may I have a moment with the sergeant? Your Honor, I respectfully request a long lunch recess at this time so I may confer with my absent associates.
Your Honor, I see no reason for a lengthy delay simply because Mr. Mason seems to have lost track of his associates.
I don't either. Request denied. Court will reconvene at 1:30 p.m.
It's Harry. I forgot my key.
Miranda? I know you're here.
Let go!
Oh, you got a bad habit of running out on men, sweetheart.
The men I run out on deserve it. Why are you following me?
Believe it or not, I'm trying to help you. I have nothing to do with whoever's trying to kill you.
How do I know that?
Because I showed you my ID. As a matter of fact, you still have it.
It's in my bag.
Let's find it.
Then you let me go?
Maybe. You answer a few questions.
Look, I don't know anything. Why don't you just let me out of this?
You can talk to me or you can talk to the police, Miranda. We know you were at a luncheon that Suzanne Domenico gave the day that she was murdered.
So?
I want to know about the men who were there.
So did I. Only Suzanne wouldn't tell me anything, not even their last names.
You'd never seen any of those men before.
Never saw them before or since.
Well, I wouldn't be so sure about that. It's very likely that one of those men is trying to kill you.
Right.
Wait a minute, where are you going?
I'm thirsty. You mind if I get a drink of water?
Well, can you remember anything specific that might have been said the day of the luncheon?
Suzanne kept me in the kitchen the whole time.
What about the connection between her and the men?
Your guess is as good as mine. Are we through?
Well, not if you're smart. No.
Well, what does that mean?
Someone's trying to kill you, Miranda. Now, I'd say you could use a friend.
You look like an angel. How can you not believe a guy who looks like an angel?
Right. Come on, let's go. Come on.
Oh, wait, I forgot my bag. Harry. It's gotta be Harry.
Now, I gotta tell you, Harry and I, we're not close.
Don't worry, I can handle it. Don't get upset, Harry.
Here? You brought him in here, in my place?
So, Harry, you got this all wrong.
That's right. All wrong.
You open your mouth once more, Hotshot. I let you walk out on me before. And now I take you back.
No, Harry, I told you I don't work for you anymore. I just came here as a friend who needed help.
That's right. The girl came as a friend and needed help. Now, we just want to leave peacefully, okay? Come on.
Well, forget it. Nobody's going anywhere.
Hey, maybe we can talk about this, huh?
Why?
Harry, please.
I don't want to have to hurt you, Harry.
Yeah?
Maybe we can work something out, huh?
Like what?
Like this.
Where to?
Anywhere. for lunch? We have a serious problem. Two for lunch? No. This way.
哎，你们怎么往里边跑？哎，外面是吃饭呢。哎，你们跑到厨房里干什么？这两个人，你们怎么进了厨房？哎，你们在这厨房里出去。
All right. Two for lunch. Your treat.
You're not?
Yes, I am.
How long have you known him?
30 years or more.
Have you seen him regularly over the years?
Yes, I have. Except for the last few years.
Did you see Mr. Domenico on the day his wife was murdered?
Yes, I did.
Did he seem agitated or upset?
Not at all.
Did he seem unhappy in his marriage?
No, quite the opposite. He was very happy, very animated. He showed me a picture of his wife and told me how much he loved her.
Over the years, I'm sure you've formed an opinion of Mr. Domenico's character.
He was warm, kind, very loving. Oh, he could be emotional at times, but deep down, he would never hurt anyone, especially his wife.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Miss Street, you lived in the neighborhood in which the defendant grew up, isn't that correct?
Yes, I did.
And I take it, based on your obvious affection for the defendant, that your families were very close?
They were.
Wasn't your brother the same age as the defendant?
Yes, he was.
And during this happier time, didn't you all spend a great deal of time together?
It was a time I remember fondly. Yes, we spent a great deal of time together.
And at this time, weren't you acquainted with the defendant's uncle, Michael Domenico?
Yes, I was.
And isn't it true, Ms. Street, that he proposed marriage to you?
Yes, he did.
Did you accept his proposal?
Objection. Relevancy. Absolutely no bearing on the present case.
Your Honor, I am simply trying to establish the bias of the witness, that she was very nearly closely related to the defendant by marriage.
Objection overruled. Please answer the question.
Yes, Michael did propose to me, and we were engaged briefly. I was very young at the time.
Miss Street, thank you. That is all. I have no further questions.
You may step down, Miss Street.
It was a very long time ago.
Mrs. Robinson, you were working for Mrs. Domenico on the day of the murder, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Were you present in the apartment before Mrs. Domenico left for the country that morning?
Yes, sir.
At that time, did you hear Mrs. Domenico's side of a telephone conversation?
Yes, sir.
Would you please tell the court what you heard?
I heard her say, "Don't threaten me. It's my way or no way at all."
Was this call placed in your presence?
No, sir.
Were you eavesdropping?
Oh, no, sir. Mrs. Domenico asked me to go to the kitchen to look for her keys. When I came back to the bedroom, she was on the phone. That's when I heard her.
What happened then?
I went to clean the bathroom and she left.
Mr. Spar, did she do anything out of the ordinary before she left?
Yes. She took Mr. Domenico's gun out of his bureau and put it in her purse.
I call your attention to Exhibit F, which has been stipulated as the murder weapon. Do you recognize it?
It looks like Mr. Domenico's gun.
Both the defense and prosecution have stipulated so. Now, Mrs. Robinson, you heard Mrs. Domenico threatened. Then you saw her take a revolver with her. Is that correct?
Objection, Your Honor. Mrs. Robinson has already answered Mr. Mason's questions.
Sustained.
No further questions.
Mrs. Robinson, have you been to the Domenico's country house?
Yes, sir.
Were you there the evening that Mrs. Domenico was murdered?
No, sir.
So you can't testify as to exactly what transpired that evening, can you?
No, sir.
No further questions.
Defense calls Richard Wilson to the stand. Mr. Wilson, you are employed by the Crestmore Bank, is that right?
Yes.
Could you tell us the nature of your job?
I'm a senior systems analyst in a data processing unit.
Would you clarify that, please?
I design computer programs for most of Crestmore Bank's domestic and foreign transactions.
By transactions, you mean the movement of money, is that correct?
Yes.
What is your relationship with Leonard Weeks, Edward Tremaine, and Stephen Reynolds?
They're all senior vice presidents of the bank. But they don't have anything to do with my department.
You have business dealings with them outside the bank?
No, of course not.
Mr. Wilson, please remember that you are under oath. Now, you were present at a meeting at Mrs. Domenico's house on the day she was murdered, were you not?
No, I told you I never met the woman.
Mr. Wilson, wasn't it Suzanne Domenico who called you and requested your presence at that meeting?
No.
Wasn't it for the purpose of perpetrating a computer fraud on the Crestmore Bank for the benefit of Mr. Tremaine, Mr. Weeks, Mr. Reynolds, and yourself?
I resent your implications.
You have no proof. All right, Mr. Wilson. All right. Mr. Stewart, would you please stand? Mr. Stewart is an independent data processing consultant hired by me. With the permission and cooperation of Crestmore's board of directors, he conducted a security investigation of several rather unusual computer programs that you recently designed.
You had no right.
If you are not prepared to be truthful on this subject, we can put Mr. Stewart on the stand.
By all means, let us hear what Mr. Stewart has to say.
No!
Ooh.
are you?
It's a long story.
Have you found Miranda Bonner?
She's right here with me.
Paul, she may have the surveillance tape. Ask her if Suzanne gave her anything that day.
All right, hold on 1 minute. Did Suzanne give you anything that day you were at the house?
Oh, just my fee. Oh, and some things she wanted me to mail.
Things?
Letters and a couple small packages.
Did you mail them?
No. I put them in my bag and forgot.
Your bag, the one that's back at Harry's house. Perry, I'll get back to you.
Still here. Hi, Harry. Forgot my bag.
Harry, I don't want to hurt you, but I'm kind of pressed for time, you know?
That's pretty good.
Comes in handy. Bag.
Are these what you're looking for?
That's it.
Mr. Sims, approximately what time did you go by the Domenico house on the evening Suzanne Domenico was killed?
6:30, maybe 6:45.
That was your last trip to that neighborhood.
Yes.
But you had other deliveries to make in other parts of town.
Yeah, that's right.
What time did you finish?
I brought the truck back to the store just before 9.
Mr. Spar? Isn't it true you went to the Domenico residence before you returned to the store, say around 8:30 p.m.?
No.
Isn't it true you returned for a final clandestine glimpse of Miranda Bonner?
No.
Mr. Sims, I am sorry to ask you this. But isn't it true you have a custom, or shall we say, habit of peeking inside women's windows? A habit that resulted last year in your conviction of felonious trespass and lascivious conduct, a charge for which you are still on probation.
Objection, irrelevancy, improper impeachment.
Your Honor, this testimony is critical.
Overruled. Answer the question.
So I was arrested and copped a plea.
And you did return to the Domenico house around 8:30 p.m.
Yeah.
And as you tried to conceal your truck behind some shrubbery, you struck another car, creasing your fender and shattering the... the other car's tail light. Isn't that so?
Okay. So what?
Objection, Your Honor. I don't know what Mr. Mason is doing.
Mr. Mason is establishing the presence of another car on the Domenico property at the time of the murder. No further questions.
Mr. Reston?
No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Mason?
I call Leonard Weeks to the stand.
Yes, I was at Mrs. Domenico's house.
And after the meeting, Mr. Weeks, what time did you leave?
Oh, I can't tell you the exact time, Mr. Mason, sometime between 2:30 and 3 o'clock.
And you did not go back to Mrs. Domenico's house that day or that evening?
No, absolutely not.
I see. Mr. Weeks, what was the exact nature of your relationship with that lady?
Well, it was purely business. Mr. Domenico's public relations firm was hired by the bank, of which I am a senior vice president.
Isn't it true, Mr. Weeks, that your relationship with Mrs. Domenico dated back more than 15 years?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't you? Mr. Weeks, this is a copy of mortgage papers on a house. A house where a number of people were arrested 12 years ago because it was being used as a very expensive brothel. The deed to this property is registered to one Suzanne Koval and one Leonard Weeks.
All right, Mr. Mason. I met Suzanne when we were both much younger. And she had done me some favors, so when she was unable to qualify for a mortgage, she put my name on the deed. At the time, I had no idea what she was using the property for.
Mr. Weeks, isn't it true that as a result of your long-standing relationship with Mrs. Domenico, she agreed to make a tape of your entire business meeting the day she was killed?
I know of no such tape.
Isn't it true that at the last minute she changed her mind and refused to give you that tape?
Oh, that's absurd.
Isn't it true you were planning to use that tape in a scheme to promote yourself to the position of chief operating officer of your bank?
No.
Isn't it true you wanted recorded evidence of this conspiracy to defraud the bank in order to eliminate your competition? Oh, what better way to take Mr. Reynolds and Mr. Tremaine out of the running than to uncover evidence that they were involved in a criminal conspiracy?
This, too, is absurd.
Isn't it true you told your board of directors that you'd engineered the whole scheme to reveal highly improper actions among top-level bank employees?
Objection, Your Honor. Mr. Mason has gone beyond the realm of reasonable conjecture and cross-examination.
Beg the court's indulgence.
Continue, Mr. Mason.
Mr. Weeks, did you have a telephone conversation with Mrs. Domenico the day of the murder?
No.
With the court's permission, I would like to play this tape. It is a recording of a telephone conversation which might assist Mr. Weeks' memory.
Go ahead.
No. You listen. There's going to be a little change in our agreement. The price has gone up. I know what kind of money is involved here. That's right, or there's no deal. Hey, I'm not going to argue with you. Take it or leave it. Hey, look, don't try to sweet-talk me. If you want to become president of your bank, we'll do it my way or no way. Do you understand?
She had double-crossed you, hadn't she, Mr. Weeks? And you couldn't afford to have Suzanne Domenico as an enemy, could you? So you had no choice, did you? You went back to Suzanne's house that night. You killed her.
You have absolutely no proof of this.
You hid your car behind some shrubbery. Now, Mr. Sims tried to park his delivery truck in the same place. But he hit your car, shattering your tail light. Your Honor, defense places into evidence as Defense Exhibit 10 those fragments which Sergeant Kozlow and the police lab collected from beside the Domenico driveway. Look at them, Mr. Weeks. Take them, Mr. Weeks. Those fragments will match the broken tail light on your car, won't they? Those fragments will prove you were there, won't they? Those fragments will prove you killed Suzanne Domenico.
She had the tape. She knew too much. She knew everything. I realized that I just couldn't trust her anymore. She wasn't the Suzanne that I had known. And had to get rid of her. There's no other way.
Your Honor, I move that all charges against Tony Domenico be dismissed.
Prosecution joins in the motion, Your Honor.
So ordered. Take Mr. Weeks into custody.